Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If everybody could go to their seats, we will be starting. Sorry for the delay. The next panelist is sponsored by Panoro Energy. It's an upstream forum, NOCs in the Crossroads, increasing production and investment in energy transition world. And to give an introduction, we have Mr. Tim O'Hanlon, a senior advisor at Panoro Energy. So he will be giving a presentation. So Mr. Tim, if you can, thank you.
So, good morning, lady. Oh, sorry, afternoon. Yeah, I came here as I thought I was going to be a rebel with my questioning of the hysterical dialogue, if you could call it that, these days about Africa's transition. But all my work was done for me in the opening ceremony by 10 different fabulous speeches by Africans. So bravo, Africa, for speaking up for yourselves very clearly that this has to be a just transition. But that's Tim O'Hanlon, who works for Tim O'Hanlon Limited. So now I must zip the lip because these guys pay my salary. Panoro Energy. I am an Irishman, if you haven't guessed. I am a petroleum engineer, although you wouldn't want me doing any of your petroleum engineering. For the last year or so, I've been the senior advisor to the board of Africa-focused E&P company Panoro Energy. I bet you I have the smallest CV in this room here, because apart from the 3 years when I left college with an engineering degree and worked for Schlumberger, I've spent my entire career with one company, Tullow Oil. And I was there from the very start with my brother-in-law, founder Aidan Heavey, way back in 1986. Our first project, our safari, if you like, in Africa began by accident. It was a first project of ours in Senegal, onshore. It was a nickel and dime, mom and pop, kind of West Texas oil and gas operation, mainly gas actually for power. And we literally lived above the office. We had many years, it was many years of hard work, but lots of fun, I have to say, before we became Africa's go-to partner, I suppose, for your oil and gas project, be it you're another investor or indeed a country. And we became a household name in the end of the day in quite a few African countries, putting a few countries on the map, in fact, the oil and gas map. Now, I was privileged to be part of that journey all the way. And of course, I've had great fun and games. It was like a rodeo ride. But the failure outcomes were our big teacher. And they were the default outcomes, as is the case in the oil and gas game. But we had the occasional taste, delicious taste of success, as you know. Over the years, I got to see every African country bar one. I've met probably half the heads of state on the continent. And I was known, it seems, as Tullow's Monsieur Afrique. Bon. Anyway, but until I retired about a year ago from my beloved Tullow Oil. As doors close in life and in business, other doors open, and now I am an advisor to this superb little company, small for now, but hopefully not for long, Panoro Energy. And I recognize in them and my colleagues in Panoro some of the best attributes of Tullow back before it lost its shine. Particularly pleasant people, technically and financially top drawer, 100% Africa focused, otherwise I wouldn't be involved with them. And imagine this, they're ready to explore. I can't take any of the credit for their great success of their journey so far, but I do get the pleasure of sitting here or standing here telling you their story. So the injustice of it. So who are Panoro? They're a Oslo-listed E&P company, $330 million market cap, $36 million or 36 million barrels of reserves, about the same in contingent resources. And this year, first half, we produced 7,700 barrels a day. You can see the map of Africa here growing a bit of an orange rash from head to toe. These are the places where Panoro is currently. And of course, the idea is to turn the whole map orange, don't you know? It's a bit of a coincidence that the branding color of Tullow was blue. It's just a coincidence, I assure you. I didn't make this map, but it's an interesting point, though, nonetheless. Anyway, up top in Tunisia, we are in 6 offshore licenses, and we are improving production slowly but surely from these recently acquired assets. Offshore Equatorial Guinea and Rio Muni province, we're working with partners on the declining production, or the previously declining production in Okume and Oveng and Seba. Next door in Gabon, we are in the Dussafu permit, where we're exploring, producing, and developing oil and gas, and further south, offshore south of South Africa, just north of where we all are now, offshore the southwest coast, we have a near-term exploration well going down. So how can a small company like ours, Africa only, E&P company, these days grow in this hysterical and volatile environment where everyone seems to be screaming and shouting instead of discussing? It certainly helps to be Africa-focused. And we have at Panoro what we think is a nice 3-legged strategy for growth. There's, I like to call it second-hand or pre-developed oil fields. And we have a second, an example of that, of course, is will be given, but they're in EG and in Gabon. Secondly, in Panoro, we have exploration, a bit like a swear word these days in IOCs. We actually welcome the exploration word in discussions about growth at Tullow, at Panoro. I knew I'd fall into that one. Now, not quite frontier basin opening wildcat wells like you get in the old days in Tullow, but in Tullow, that one. More like near-field prospects in basins that we know and understand, and where infrastructure allows short lead times to development and monetization, but exploration nonetheless. And the third way that Panoro is growing is through opportunistic acquisitions. And this we have done in this regard. We've demonstrated credibility as a counterparty with companies like Tullow, OMV, DNO, and others. So we think this track record as a credible buyer and completer of deals in Africa will be useful to us as the majors are being literally chased out of business on the mother continent. You can see in this next slide how the growth strategy seems to be working. Each of the 3 elements, the second-hand, the exploration, and the opportunistic acquisitions, has contributed. It seems like yesterday we were under 1,500 barrels a day in 2018. Currently we're at over 9,500 barrels a day, and we've got organic growth in production set into 2023 and beyond, up at 12,000 barrels a day. Just as the oil price is looking rosy as well. Let's look at then some examples of the brownfield and the first leg of our growth. E.g., Equatorial Guinea, we are the newest kids on the scene there, having just acquired the non-operated assets of Tullow in the country. We joined Trident and Cosmos in their Seba and Okume assets. And with low $13 per barrel OPEX, and strong cash flow, we can self-fund our growth in this country through production efficiencies and step-out drilling. So this is a kind of a perfect fit for a Panoro project in a country that we're now targeting as an area full of growth opportunities, and we target as a potential hub for Panoro in the future. Next door in Gabon, we have been involved in the Dussafu permit, and it's also pure Panoro territory. We've been involved there for over a decade. It's also known as the Rouge exploitation area, and happens to be Gabon's largest exploitation area, valid until 2038. This project would have just about everything a little E&P company would wish for in a permit. Some of the milestone events over the last decade that we've been there have included a series of discoveries. We've had Rouge, Tortue, Rouge Northeast, Hibiscus North, and activities also included, of course, 3D seismic acquisition and developing those discoveries that we've been having over the last decade. In that period, we've achieved a 20-fold increase in reserves and resources to 140 million barrels, with significant further growth potential ahead of us. Dussafu's production should reach 40,000 barrels a day next year. And you can also see the busy blob map over here on the right of Dussafu. No shortage of prospects to drill, which we will go through systematically at the rate of about 2 wells per year. Anything that is discovered in this area is eminently, ought to be pretty developable and economic when it's so close to existing infrastructure. And then up further north in Tunisia, we have in 2018-19 acquired these fields which have been kind of under-resourced and under-invested in for a long period of time. And our intention is to get the production back up to its peak 6,000 barrels a day from its current 4,000 barrels a day through systematic approach of workovers, infill drilling, and ESP replacement. Of course, in the satellite around these producing fields, we will be exploring, and any, again, exploration success should be readily economic. So, on the exploration, which is the second leg of our growth strategy, and which is something very close to my heart, obviously, from my previous career, it's just been announced a couple of weeks ago as part of the Gabon's 12th licensing round that Panoro has been chosen with its bidding partners to be awarded the yellow and the blue, which is G1213 and H1213. This is a large exploration area which has yielded 250 million barrels of discoveries to date from within those two zones. You can see the red box is the Dussafu area that I was talking about earlier. So basically, this is an area which we believe should yield more and more of the same type of snuggle exploration success with a growing production for the foreseeable future. It also deepens our exploration inventory as a company. And then further south here in South Africa, just north of where we are, we have a modest little interest in a block offshore the northwest coast, block 2B, or maybe not to be, but time will tell. It's an exciting, what's known as a rift basin oil play, akin to the ones found further north in Uganda and Kenya. It's nicely de-risked by a well which was drilled back in '88 and had 35 million barrels or thereabouts of reserves of proven discovery and light oil at that. Now, the G&G folks, as usual, are telling us that this has been totally misunderstood. It's actually 10 times that size, and if you just drill over here, it's going to be bonanza time. Well, if you don't shoot, you can't score. The well will be drilled shortly, please God, and we will, que sera, sera. But what a great day to be for the Rainbow Nation, I think, anyway, if there was a great big oil discovery to complement the other developments you have, and to add some color to the energy mix. the corporate activities slide. This is the third arm of our growth. The company is chaired by this young fella who's 20 or something years younger than me. It's embarrassing. He's a super bright guy, really entrepreneurial. And even though he's younger than me, he was a friend for a long time, and I reckon he was nearly a mentor. But now I'm involved with the company. He's more of a tormentor. And his name is Julian Balkany, together with his super-duper CEO, a complete gentleman, unheard of in the oil industry, John Hamilton, who will be joining me here tomorrow. This pair have worked and shown an uncanny ability to spot good opportunities in the M&A space that suit Panoro. And you can see here, this is just a 5-year activities for the company. It's like a tube map, it's so busy. And it shows that we've had deals with BW in Gabon, DNO in Tunisia, OMV also in Tunisia, Petronor in Nigeria, and culminating at the end there with this gorgeously timed acquisition from, guess who? Tullow Oil, got it right that time. Yes, and that deal has just closed. It ironically, to me or to seasoned observers in the room, this could be our Panoro's Energy Africa moment, maybe. If you recall, that's when Tullow took over Energy Africa back in 2004 and never, ever looked back. Energy Africa was a gorgeous, respected, much coveted, much loved Cape Town-based exploration company, and it was a step change for Tullow. A bit of over-dramatizing the situation there, but for Panoro, this acquisition from Tullow, which is sadly a bit of a zombie, debt-laden now, has to reduce its debt by selling assets, sadly. The timing was delicious, the synergies are perfect, the geography is perfect, and of course, the price was spot on. And the deal was struck at the beginning of the year when oil was $40 a barrel. I reckon it's nice timing. Now, in this game, as you know, you're either a gobshite or a visionary. It's boom, bust. The truth is, we're all just regular folks, and that the differentiator between the two extreme outcomes is lady luck or perhaps timing. So we are where we are. The project, or the acquisition was $140 million. The price was equates to $5.6 per barrel, and it more than quadrupled Panoro's 2P and 2C reserves and resources, as you can see in the little roundy things at the bottom right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get off the stage. You got to keep an eye on this Panoro E&P. Put it on your watch list. It's a great mix of quality people and quality assets. 100% Africa focused. Otherwise, I'd be no use to them. And with their eyes on the prize, looks to me like a winning growth strategy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. Introduce the panel. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to Andres Vega, who kicked things off, and much appreciated. Thanks to Tim for you get corporate presentations that kind of go on like a dragging ad. That was very entertaining, and thank you for it. I'm just going to very briefly, if I could ask you each for 30 or 40 seconds, just to say who you are, because people in the hall here, of course, don't know. This very fine panel. Osvaldo and Inacio, if you could just stand up and just tell us where you're from and what brings you here.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Osvaldo Inacio, an executive board member for Sonangol.
Angola.
It's great to see you all wearing Sonangol.
Thank you so much. Immanuel Mulunga. I nearly got it wrong.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Immanuel Mulunga. I'm the Managing Director of Namcor. Good to see all of you, and looking forward to engaging with everyone.
From Windhoek, Namibia, yes. Yay, hey. And we've got Dr. Odette Makaya from Gabon, from Libreville.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Odette Nzaba Makaya Delma. Yes, I'm my native name and also my Monica name. I'm Mrs. Delma. people used to call me. So I'm here as the CEO of the Gabon Oil Company, which is the oil and gas national company in Gabon. So happy to be here with you.
Thank you. We have KD Trivedi.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm KD Trivedi. I'm Chief Geoscientist from a strategic fuel fund, Petrosen, and have something like 42 years of experience in E&P companies, and especially I've worked in many of the NOCs, NOC of India, and then I've started my journey from India and working in various basins in India. Went to Egypt, Vietnam, Nepal, Iraq, Iran, Egypt, and Sudan, and then came to South Africa in 2009. Since then I'm working here, and now looking after the exploration activity in Block B2 in South Sudan. So that's my short.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to come to the next speaker in a moment. First of all, my name is Geof Hill. I'm moderating together with Andres, who is announcing. I wear this not because I have a cowboy fetish, but because I suffer with glare. So hence the hat. Our next speaker, if you could introduce yourself before you come up, and then he's going to take the lectern. And that is Adokiye Tombomieye from Nigeria. Please come forward, sir, and welcome.
Thank you very much. We always like to stand on existing protocols because it will be very difficult for me to introduce everyone. But my name is Engineer Adokiye Tombomieye. I'm the Group Executive Director of Upstream, representing the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, which is wholly owned by the federal government of Nigeria. We've just transformed it into a limited liability by the passage of the PIA, which is a Petroleum Industry Act. It was a bill, now turned into an act. So we're now going to be called NNPC Limited. So I'm here in dual role. The Group Managing Director of NNPC, who's now the CEO, is unable to come. So I was on the other hall trying to represent him, and I was asked to also come and take up this presentation as the Group Executive Director of Upstream. So I'm going to share with you the Nigerian perspective. I will call him my colleague because he's also in the oil and gas industry. I wanted to ask him why the Nigerian space is painted blue, a bit lighter than all the others on the map he showed. I want to believe that probably he has more investment in Nigeria than anywhere else. But having said that, I'm going to share with you what we call the increasing production and investment in energy transition world, the NNPC perspective. The goal of huge investment in the upstream, midstream, and downstream sectors is to promote economic growth across different parts of this continent and to extract overall value for petroleum operations. Since the Industrial Revolution, the oil and gas industry has been at the heart of economic transformation globally, giving birth to a new era of automation. The industry has also begun to redefine her imperatives, despite high fluctuations in price, escalating project costs, regional security risk, and changes in fiscal regulations. This new era of automation and artificial intelligence is focused on application of cutting-edge technologies, use of what we call robotic drilling systems for unmanned operations to reduce cost, deploying cognitive computing in upstream operations, super specialized sensors for real-time monitoring and maximization of reservoir yields, use of predictive maintenance to anticipate critical equipment failures, intelligent pipeline technology, phototyping with 3D printing, blockchain in commodity trading, wearables, and industrial mobility tools. These are all in a way to reduce the operating cost of drilling process. According to the World Economic Forum, WEF, digital transformation in the industry can create benefits worth over $640 billion globally, which include $117 billion of savings for customers, $10 billion productive improvements, about 30 billion from reducing water usage, and about 430 billion from lowering emissions. We need to urgently take advantage than ever before the opportunities derived from a big data digitalization and emerging new technologies in the course of our operations. For example, the operation from a single drilling rig can generate lots of data that will change the game in exploration and development if only the data is properly mined using latest technologies and interpreted for decision-making and continuous improvement. This can be achieved by bringing all these data into an integrated team-based and easily retrievable platform where professionals can seamlessly interact and mature ideas that will yield the desired outcome. Distinguished participants, the African oil and gas industry has invested heavily in recent decades, developing very large infrastructures, onshore and offshore field development projects, complex network of pipelines and refineries. However, there is no commensurate investment in exploration activities within the same period, while the reserves are fast being depleted, as already shown by our colleague from Panoro. It is in the light of this I want to emphatically challenge all of us here to renew our effort for the oil and gas exploration across Africa. Nigeria as a nation have over the years played a key role in the global oil market, producing about 2.1 million barrels per day, which was curtailed by OPEC to about 1.4, and plans to increase our production to almost about 3.3 million barrels per day. This is also backed with a plan to grow our reserves to 40 billion barrels. This commitment for reserves and production growth requires huge capital investments, and technical capacities are long focused on cost discipline and secured environment. Just recently, the NNPC Limited, via its own frontier exploration services, discovered oil in the northern part of Nigeria called Kolmari in the upper Benue Trough. This opens a new frontier for our oil and gas resources in the Nigerian Rift Basin. We see higher prospects more than ever in other frontier basins on current understanding. We also achieved the signing into law, which I've just mentioned, by the President of Nigeria, the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. These two unprecedented positive developments are a pointer to the opportunities yet to be exploited among several ones within the Nigerian frontier basins. The new discovery has made it possible for us to employ innovative ideas, latest technology, and data management best practices in this digital age. The industry is hereby challenged to harness these excellent opportunities of renewed active exploration activities to ensure reserve sustainability and optimal value for the infrastructure investments. I would also like to note that there is a change in trend across the globe that also affects us as a nation. Rise of new hydrocarbon sources, like massive development of shale oil and gas by the United States of America, changing geopolitical equations, greater penetration of renewables, new technologies, shift in global demand patterns, rise in electric vehicles, and autonomous driving, smart grids, storage capabilities for renewable energy, and global push for emission reduction. This is the topic of the world. These changes are, however, both disruptive and beneficial at the same time, depending on how prepared we are to embrace and ride on this change. If you listen to what was said in the opening ceremony, it was clearly stated that the need of Africa is different from the need of other global world players. As oil prices and energy transition continue to affect our profitability as an industry, there is an increased need to improve our operational efficiencies. Accidents and spills also threaten profitability and survival of the exploration operations. Only companies who leverage on digital technology and innovation to simply automate and optimize their operations will be guaranteed sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring our focus to the need to collaborate to address our common challenges as professionals: lack of standardization, weak oil and gas technology ecosystem, culture and mindset, inadequate talent pool, and of course, cyber security are some of the issues we are having in Africa. To address this, NNPC as a company is committed to leading the change in transforming the sector through various initiatives, partnerships, and roadmaps to become an integrated energy company. As part of our current strategy, NNPC will strive to grow our reserves as a nation, increase our oil production, rehabilitate our refineries, ensure availability of petroleum products, and attain net importer status as a country. To make this a reality, we have to collaborate as professionals, as senior business leaders, to make more digitalization a priority, drive a culture of innovation and technology, invest in human capital and development programs, optimize the use of industry data platforms, and invest in the oil and gas collaborative ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the world where we're talking about transition from oil, fossil fuel, to other sources of energy. But as we all know, the energy demand in Africa requires that fossil fuel is the only way we can increase our capacity in providing power for almost millions of Africans who are still in total blackness. I therefore use this opportunity to invite all interested investors to explore the countless investment options that are bound in the Nigerian energy space, and of course, all other African countries that are interested. Finally, I wish you a very exciting experience in this beautiful city of Cape Town, and look forward to enjoying myself with my colleagues. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Lots of common sense there. Thank you. Thank you, Adokiye. Before we take the next speaker, how many people here from Africa? Just put your hands up. Anybody from North America, Canada, the US? Europe and the UK? We have. India, China, Asia, Middle East. This is predominantly, anybody Australia, New Zealand? This is predominantly an Africa forum. We've got Africa voices. We've got an African audience. Let's hear now from Osvaldo Inacio from Angola. Please come up and please share some wisdom with us. We've had a lot of very good common sense this morning. Welcome.
Thank you. I was asked to send a presentation to the organization, and I'm not sure if the presentation is up there. Do you guys have my presentation? Okay, I will start thinking about withdrawing my sponsorship then. Probably. Can I borrow your microphone, just so I don't have to stand here?
Of course you can. If you know how to work it. There she goes. Oh, come on. Like it needs to sanitize, for heaven's sakes. Is that working? Yeah, that's working.
Thank you. Please just confirm if the presentation is coming and if I need to wait or I can.
Do you want to swap sequence and wait for a little bit?
If they have it, I can wait maybe 2 minutes. If not, I'll just give a talk from the heart. First of all, thank you so much to the organization for inviting us. I was very pleased when the chamber reached out to Sonangol to ask us to be here in the panel and also give a keynote speech. And we were very glad to sponsor the event as well. I thought I will maybe make a quick reintroduction of Sonangol. I'm sure the African players know Sonangol, but I thought I will give a very quick introduction. But my communication team actually did a better job than me because they made sure that when you get back home, you take a piece of Sonangol with you on your badge holders. So I was very excited and happy to see that. So the topic of this panel is really interesting, and it's at the core of this event, which is NOCs in the Crossroads. How do we balance, how do we make sure that we are increasing production? Because from what we've been hearing here, the continent still needs to produce oil at a massive scale to power the development of the continent. But how do we balance that? How do we do that in a context of energy transition? It's a very tricky question that the organization asked us to talk about. because around 600 million of people in Africa still don't have access to electricity. What's the quickest way to get the electricity to those people? Do I stop oil production in Angola and start thinking about renewables before I give electricity to everyone? Or how is that the discussion going to be with our people if I tell them I'm stopping production, I now need to go find funding and start from scratch a renewable energy production without pumping oil? So I'm really hoping that we can come up with some smart answers to that today. What we want to talk to you about is what Sonangol is doing to be able to at least start having that discussion. A little bit about the Sonangol story. It's actually intertwined with the country's history itself, because Angola is an independent country for 46 years. We're actually going to be celebrating our 46th year of independence on the 11th. I think 11 is tomorrow or after tomorrow, right? And Sonangol was set up in 1976, which is 1 year right after independence. For those of you who have been in the country and those of you who have been following development of the country, you can't really think about any source of development in Angola if you don't think about Sonangol. So Sonangol is very intertwined with the history of the country itself. Angola produced around 1.1 million barrels a day today. We've been following on the footsteps of my brother from Nigeria. They've always been up. They've always been ahead of us. We've reached, our maximum production reached 2.2 million at a certain point, and then it came down to 1.8. And today is 1.1 for various reasons, and one of them is exactly the maturity of the fields, right? As you produce, production started immediately declining, right? And now one of our biggest challenges is how do we reverse the pace of that decline at the same time that we try to find new sources of oil. So as I was saying, Sonangol was set up in 1976, sorry. Very quickly, it was set up not only as an oil operator, as the NOC, but also as the regulator. So we kind of wear two hats at the same time until 2018. Just recently, when the government did a massive restructuring of the sector, and Sonangol became, let's say, transferred the concessionary aspect to the newly created agency. That was 2008, and today Sonangol is only solely focusing on producing oil, has the NOC. But you probably think of Sonangol as just a national oil company, but I really missed my presentation. I was going to show you a world map where you could see Sonangol footprint across the globe. We produce oil in Venezuela, Brazil, Cuba, Cape Verde, Saint Tomé. We have presence in China, Singapore, and so a friend of mine actually asked me, "But are you sure you guys are really an NOC or actually an IOC?" So Sonangol is really spread across the globe with operations from shipping to oil production to financing to all of that. That's briefly our story. Now, as I said, there's a challenge with declining production. So what we are doing to try and reverse that? We came up with a exploration and production strategy that goes up to 2027. So we kind of in the first or second year of the implementation of that strategy. And that basically touches in 5 different pillars. I thought I had 15.
I know the program's running over time.
Yes, sorry about that, but I thought I had 15. And I'm thinking keeping that. But no worries. Don't get scared. So Sonangol came up with an exploration and production strategy that basically focuses on 5 pillars. Strategic partnerships, the skill base, right? The technology. And we're also doing an optimization of our portfolio. For those of you who probably have been following the news, we actually divesting from a number of blocks. But that's a divestment in order to invest. So it's not that we are pulling out of the business. We also, as an NOC, we have responsibility not only in producing oil, but also in increasing our refining capacity. And so we are building in the country, as we speak, a number of refineries in addition to the existing one. Cabinda, Soyu, Lobito will be coming up. And so I'm sure there are a few guys here with huge pockets of financing, so come see us if you're interested in joining the party, okay? After the panel. But because I'm being asked to really short my presentation, I'm probably going to pause here. Not before I say that in the context of the transition, Sonangol is also taking steps in order to become a more integrated energy company. So we've established partnerships with ENI, for example, to set up some photovoltaic plants in the south of the country. We invested in a bio company. We are executing gas to power projects. So we think and plan in putting through the grid around 500,000 gigawatts of energy coming from these alternative projects which are linked to our energy transition strategy. So we are not only an NOC trying to pump oil to develop the country, etc., but we understand the climate change aspect. We just think that it needs to be just, inclusive, and fair, and not ask us to stop before we get to where the country needs to be. Okay, so roughly that's. I wanted to make that a quick introduction or reintroduction of Sonangol, and I hope I did a good job as my presentation didn't come up, and I will hold the organization accountable for that.
You did very well. Inacio. It's not your fault they're running over time. It's not your fault at all. I love the word Inacio used there, balance. Balance, if we can find balance, just so important. And we've heard that again and again through various speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call on now to Dr. Odette Makaya. Odette, could you come and give us some words, please? Odette is from Gabon, a country, not a large country, but a country with incredible resources, wonderful wildlife. Please, take it away.
Thank you. Yeah. Good afternoon again, everyone. I'm really honored to be part of this great event, which brings together African in Africa, to reflect on the current topics, or I will say issues that we have of increasing production and investment in the context of global energy transition. At the beginning of this message, before giving more details about myself, because I heard Tom was saying, no, you cannot be from Gabon. I know everyone from Gabon except you. So I think Tom is not the only person. Most of the people are asking where this Odette comes from. I will take a second to introduce myself more. But please give me, at the beginning of this message, the opportunity, because I really would like to thank once again the head of my country, His Excellency President Ali Bongo Ondimba, who actually trusts and gives a lot of chance to women to actually contribute actively on the development of our country. So he's the man who has told me that I should come here and talk about my country, Gabon, and talk about my company, the National Oil and Gas Company of Gabon, known very well as GOC, as Gabon Oil Company. I would like as well to thank the chairman of this conference, this amazing organization, and the team for the kind of warm welcoming that I've received since I arrived in Cape Town. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all. Please receive the greetings from my country, Gabon. So I said it before, a few minutes ago. My name is Odette Nzaba Makaya Delbra. I'm a doctor. People used to call me doctor. Being a lecturer, I have a PhD in geology. I studied in France many years, and I started teaching at university before joining the oil and gas industry. Yes, I like to be in my corner because as a geologist, my work was to think a lot, to plan for the development of the field, and to build my model. So I was in the quiet place. Not so quiet. I work from France, from Canada, from Oman, Sultanate of Brunei, before coming back to Gabon in 2016, back to Gabon. I used to work for many oil and gas companies, Perenco, Shell. I spent 12 years working for Shell before joining a small group called Asala in Gabon. So I spent a total of 25 years working in oil and gas industry, and then I was appointed to work for my country. It is an immense honor for me, and I'm one of the most happiest person because now I'm working for my country and being the chairperson, being the CEO of the National Oil Company. So you know everything about me. I'm married and I'm mother of 3 young men. That's it for me. So let me talk about GOC, that great company that was created by our president in 2011, 10 years ago. We just celebrate our 10 years. It is 100% state interest in the country. So only 10 years back, but Gabon, we have been producing oil for how many years? Yeah, more than 15 years. 16, 17 years, but mainly with international big companies. All of them, they have been in Gabon. You just hear telling you a lot. But the president thought that we may also have our national company to give a chance for Gabonese to develop their competencies as well, to give a chance for people to look at and to defend the interests of the Gabon. So what we do, since we were creating, is all the shares of the state of Gabon, all the crude that is produced, participation of the Gabon, is actually managed by GOC. We actually trade at the international market the part of the state of our country. So we ensure that whatever is produced by all the operators and which part remain for the country, we look at closely We actually trade it, we sell, and we give back the money to the public treasury. It was our first mission. But GOC is a company, is an oil and gas company like the others. We also conduct upstream and downstream activities. So, and is a company who is now has a real profitability company. We operate with a lot of transparency, despite of what people are saying, either in Facebook or in other news, and with equity. We don't have any financial debt so far, and we are quite happy. We are lifting around 15 boats per year. So from the beginning, where we were actually selling around 5 million of barrels per year, we are now happy since 2020. Last year, we managed to sell more than 10,000 barrels this year and last year. 10 million of barrels since last year. So we are quite proud of it. We are growing slowly. Our production is in total of around 13,800 barrels per day. Still small. I agree with that. This is for that I'm here. I've joined the company to ensure that we will increase production. We will increase oil production and gas production as well. The reason that we were focusing on oil because the country need it a lot. The oil himself is contributed about 65% of the gross domestic product of my country and nearly 85% of the tax revenue in Gabon. So for us, the oil industry is not just a simple business. It's very important. It's very critical. Very critical for the nation, very critical for the people. I could not be going to school or completed my PhD in the big university in Europe if my country was not producing oil. It's important. It's for me, but it's also for the entire population. People get scholarship. People go to the hospital. People get roads. And we are still developing our country the way we are doing. Maybe not faster like the others, but we are proud on the work that we are doing. So now, the GOC is looking for partners and investors, people we expected will help us to enable the right and to defend our hydrocarbon production. So we'll actually invite you who knows, who have a technology, who have technology funds, join us. We have a lot of things to do. As base of the hydrocarbon code that was published in 2019, in October 2019, the national company can actually join the major by getting 50% of the share. But we are not there yet. We would like to increase our production. So the challenge for me next year will be to ensure that we will get at least 10 fields, not the new, not so very exciting field that Tom just talking about. We are getting small space. The idea is for us to improve our production and gain on technology and competencies for the young Gabonese who are joining us. So our dream is to ensure that any Gabonese who wants to work in the oil and gas industry will find his place in GOC. Because we know that most of the time it's difficult for the big company to give the first experience to people who just get out from school. But our challenge is to ensure that 100% of the Gabonese who really want to make a lot of effort, we get the chance to do that. It is our duty to develop some of the field that has been left by the others with old facilities, with very not well-maintained wells, with unusable flow lines. But the challenge is there, and this is where people like me, we really like it, we really want to show and demonstrate that we have not said the last word. By working hard, by learning from others, and this is also where we are here, networking, learning from the experience of the others who have succeeded, how we can improve our production. So let me answer on the question. The energy transition, yes, is supported by GOC as well, but not only to follow the media, to follow the news, or to just put ourselves in the new wave, the new style, but to respond on the real need for electricity, which is still requested by our population in Gabon. We realize that instead of focusing only on the oil production, with mature field and with the recent decline that we are seeing, it is time as well for us to move to the gas, natural gas production. That will bring electricity to people, that will generate some additional job for the poor people, and that will also help us to develop our country and to increase the revenue. In view of what I've just said above, some countries cannot afford to switch immediately to renewable energy solution because their economies depend mainly on tourism and taxes collected from some African or rich country in Africa. But for us, African oil-producing country, highly dependent on the sale of hydrocarbon, we can only talk now about energy transition. Let's think on how we can plan that transition from now. We cannot say, yes, I will follow, I will stop producing oil and stop producing gas because I want to do whatever the others are doing. Our problems in Africa are different to other people. So we have been lucky that we may have on ground some hydrocarbon. We are lucky we may have huge field, big reserve of gas that we have not touched yet. So it's time for us to say we are doing the transition, but the transition to the natural gas, the transition to the energy, the transition to something different. We want to divest ourselves, and we can only do that by being together, by coming together, by sharing our challenges, our experience together, by creating an African trading hub, generate jobs for the population in Africa, and as well bringing electricity everywhere. At the top of this stage, I declare that it is important to discuss about the energy transition schedule. Let's do it. But first, looking at the interests of our representative country in Africa, while focusing on practical solutions to develop natural gas and to continue to produce oil because our country needs it. It is important to reflect on what should I leave to my young generation. What did I do? What I should be proud of that I have complete is not to follow the others. So while wishing long life to the trading of our natural energies, oil and gas, long life to the Association of the African, and I pray God to guide us, our step forward towards the real development of our countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Odette, thank you so much. I know, it's lovely. One of the things in a conference like this, thank you too, keeping us safe here. One of the things in a conference like this is it's very easy to end up with 3 or 4 speeches that all sound the same. Each of our speakers has had an individual message. Just give them another applause, please. We've been really blessed. We've been very blessed. And thank you for being such an attentive audience. If there's time, we will go around to some questions as well. But really appreciate the turnout and everybody listening. But it's been very much worth listening to. KD Trivedi, can I call on you next, sir? to come up and give us a few words, and then we're going to go out with Mr. Mulunga from Namibia. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is my onerous duty, actually, being from the host country and host city, to welcome all of you. I could not see your faces for sure. This is very, very glaring on from that side. To welcome in this Rainbow Nation and Mother City. So welcome. And for sure, let me tell you very honestly that I was not prepared actually for this speech here, because this is the first time this conference is happening, and this format is very new. When earlier I have appeared in many of this type of panel discussions, and always this is a discussions and then the questions and answer. I was prepared for that, but now I have to wear my lecturership cap, which I did in my early years of my career. And probably this conference came at a very appropriate time. I am a president-elect for American Association of Petroleum Geologists for Africa region now. So this is the right time actually, where we have to look for whole of the Africa as a continent, and develop this continent, and use the energy forum and these type of places where we need not to reinvent the wheels, and we have to do the things together, holding each other's hand, because all of us have a capability, and this continent has given enough. If we work together, and if we do the work collectively, certainly, I mean, we can have much better than any of the other continent. You know that, I mean, this is so surprising. I was on the other day, I was just listening, and somebody has asked that which continent has never hosted Olympic? Do you know? I mean, this is Africa. All other continents have hosted Olympic. Why not Africa? Why? This is having such a potential. It has such a good places. Why? So there is something missing, amiss here. Probably we are not working collectively. So what is, if we are saying we are at a crossroad, I don't know whether this is a correct word to say whether we are at a crossroad. Really, are we at a crossroad? Or this is a cyclic phenomena which is happening all the time, and this is this oil price comes down and up, and it happened in 2007-8, and then again 2014-15, then again 2021. But have we learned something from this? What is required? Is it technology which is required, or technology which is missing, amiss here? You know that, I mean, this since the beginning, I mean, when the oil industry started, or say from the midst of 2019, when King Hubbard gave his curve, and all of you, many of you who are geoscientists here sitting in this room, must be knowing that he gave a oil peak theory, that oil will be peaking, and then it will come down, and the renewables will take over. So, but slowly it is shifting. Ideally, oil peak should have happened much earlier, something in the year 2010, around that. But still, we are developing, and we are finding new and new oil. So what is there? Is it technology? So you see that, I mean, there are, if you look backward, you'll find that, I mean, there are many turning points in petroleum industry. Initially, when the geologists used to go to the field, they used to look only for the bumps on the earth crust, means anticlines, and they used to think that oil can only be found in the anticlines. That was the initial thought. When they failed in some of these ventures, drilling few of the anticlines, then they thought, no, probably this is not working, so what else? Then they went for structural traps. And then the concept of the petroleum system came, and the concept of timing came. And then they thought about those 5 elements of the petroleum. I will not go into that. I can talk whole of the day about that. Then the concept of the sequence stratigraphy came. And now, what is happening now? With the advent of the seismic, and with the development of the seismic, and the geophysics, in every day new technologies are being searched. And I came to know that, I mean, nowadays, through remote sensing, actually, you can find out very good DHIs, and you can find out the fields which are having hydrocarbons, geochemical techniques. So those are some of the new techniques which are to be really engulfed into our work and those things. But I'll not go into all those things. Let us talk about the NOCs and the role of the NOCs, what should be. And NOC is a very, what I'll say is a very protective word. It has got a lot of backing from each individual government, wherever NOCs are. So you can see that about 82% of the world's oil reserves are in hand of the NOCs. And 75% of the production of the world comes from the NOCs. So still, there is a lot of things which NOCs can do. But what are the things, what are the problems with NOCs? NOCs has got a lot of obligations also to perform. They are not as free as other MNCs or IOCs. You have to follow the government rules. You have to do the sustainability, and you have to do the oil, what you should say, oil security or energy security of the country. I normally call them as energy soldiers of the country, geologists and geophysicists and petroleum engineers. So that is how, because your procurement rules are very much bound by government regulations, though you are supported by government, but you cannot follow it. So you have to follow certain rules and certain parameters. So now that, as my colleague was just telling, that the time of the JVs have come, time of the mergers have come, where the JVs are coming, so you are actually creating JVs with some of the MNCs and some of the international companies, and that is how you are unshackling yourself from those type of bindings, which binds you to do the work. Another aspect which I just want to touch, I will not take much of the time, which is very dear to my heart, is the development of the human resource. Guys, this is the time. We must think that if we don't develop a new generation, there's a huge gap. And I am telling you, as a president of American Association of Petroleum Geologists, we are working a lot into this, that a huge gap is coming. The new generation is not being prepared to take over the baton from us. In next coming 4 or 5 years, we'll hang our boots. Who will take over from us? Because of these oil price fluctuations, and because of these things, the baton or the work which actually this NOC should do and invest in the youngsters, that is actually not happening here. So that is one thing. So that will really bring us on the crossroad. You imagine, after 5 years, you are retired, and you don't have the person who can take over from you and do the things. So what will happen? This is a very, very cost-intensive business. And if your decisions are not correct, this is a knowledge-driven country. This is not a car-making country where you put the more inputs, more factories, more steel, more person, more machine, and you can create more car. No, here your 1 + 1 can be 1,100, can be 2, can be 0 also. So it is a company, or this is an industry rather, this is the E&P industry, which is very knowledge-driven. So knowledge is very, very important. If knowledge is not transferred from one generation to another, we are going to lose. I'm telling you, we are going to lose. And whosoever thinks that oil era is going, no, I'm sorry. Oil era is, at least for next 20, 30 years, oil is going to stay there. Though renewables will come, for sure, there is no doubt about it, but oil is going to be remaining there. So we have to think about it, how we can actually take a balanced approach, how we can take an informed approach, and how we can proceed on the way where we can actually give the baton in the right hands in coming time, and that's how. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It was an unprepared speech, what I gave. But any questions, anything, I'm open for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gone around with some wonderful points here. We had Tim talking about new opportunities. We had Adokiye talking about Nigeria's dependence on oil, the enormous part of the economy that it makes up, that you can't just close that off. We had Osvaldo talking about these critical things that people in Angola who still need electricity, and it's not there yet. So again, it's not saying Angola's dependence on oil. It is a major source of revenue, and people need to have power. And we've just had KB, we had Odette talking about a country that's quite new to oil in Gabon, but the dependency on it and the enormous adventures that lie ahead of Gabon in exploiting this resource. And finally, KB and some of the need to pass on that knowledge from one generation to another, and that oil really is, for the moment, is not going anywhere. And we're going to close up with our neighbor in South Africa from Namibia, Immanuel Mulunga. Please come, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Geof, for giving me the floor to say a few words. This prestigious occasion. My name is Immanuel Mulunga. I'm the Managing Director of the National Oil Company of Namibia, Namcor. So firstly, before I say something on this topic, increasing production and investment in the energy transition, let me just thank the organizers, NJ Ajuk, the executive chairperson of the African Energy Chamber, and his colleagues for inviting us here. It's indeed a prestigious occasion, and we thank you for being brave to actually organize such an event and have such a turnout the first time around. So I've been the managing director of Namcor for the past 6 years. I come from Namibia, the land of the brave. That's what we are called, affectionately. So we ourselves as Namcor are a very brave national oil company because we are very small. We have been sort of trying to develop a gas resource that we discovered almost 50 years ago. We have not been having much success. However, we've been very busy training our people, doing a lot of exploration activities in Namibia. So far, no luck, but we believe we are going to be the next country that will discover oil in Africa, absolutely no doubt. So, we've come up with a new strategy about 2 years ago, because we believe that we can't be such a small national oil company forever. About 6 years ago, we were about $33 million balance sheet only. And I think we've been very aggressive, very audacious to make sure that we grow. We are fortunate enough that we play in the upstream and in the downstream sector of the oil business. So we've made a decision to secure our future sustainability by growing, obviously, our downstream footprint, and also to obviously play our role in the upstream sector, like we've been doing. So basically what we did is, because we sort of had this knowledge about, trying to monetize the Kudu gas reserve that we had in the country, we were not so successful, but we decided that, why don't we look elsewhere? Why don't we look at our neighbors? So we take a conscious decision of actually going outside Namibia and looking at our neighbors, looking at Angola, looking at Nigeria, to see whether we can acquire some producing assets over there. because I think the energy transition, what it has created is an opportunity for some of us forward-looking NOCs to actually try and fill this void that is being left by the ROCs who are retreating because obviously of the pressure of decarbonizing. So we have been bidding for some of these assets that are on offer. Osvaldo was just talking to us about what Sonangol is doing in Angola. We are one of those that have bid for the equity there in some of the blocks. In fact, I'm sure in 2 weeks or so I'll be in Luanda with my consortium, hopefully to try and sign up something. We're quite confident that we'll probably land 1 or 2 or even 3 blocks there in Luanda. And 2 weeks ago I was in Nigeria. I miss Adokiye there, but I'm sure in the next 2 to 3 weeks we'll probably be back there to try and see what we can do together with NNPC and to go after some of the assets that are being sort of divested by companies like SNPC and with Shell actually in Nigeria. So we're quite confident that we will get something. So we are aggressively going out obviously on the upstream side, but also on the downstream side in the country. We are involved in obviously in B2B business and recently entered the retail space. We've been rolling out service stations all over the country. We started about 2 years ago. We have 11 service stations now. Next year at this time we'll have 20. So we're quite aggressive. We want to grow. We want to take up the space, obviously in our own country, and try and displace some of the international marketing companies that are there. So apart from that, there is exploration happening in Namibia, and this year is really going to be a very interesting year for us. We have our colleagues from Recon Africa that are in the room. Very, very aggressive company as well, doing some good exploration activities there in the Kavango Basin. They've just finished an excellent 2D seismic campaign, and we're looking forward to their drilling activities that is going to happen in the next 2 to 3 months, and we look forward to the results there. Apart from that, we going to see Shell and Total that are going to drill in the Orange Basin basically next month. So we're looking forward. I think really the future looks good for Namibia. I think if there's anybody that is going to bet against us for discovery, I think you're going to make a very big mistake. So I'm sure that when we're back here next year, we'll be back to announce not only a discovery, but also to say that Namcor has taken up a position in Angola and hopefully in Nigeria, and maybe where we can go next is Gabon. I'm really coming from the country that is the only non-producer, but I think we believe that we belong in that league, and it's really just a matter of time that we become a petroleum producer ourselves. So I'm not going to be very long. Being the last speaker means there isn't really a lot of time, but we're excited to be here. I'm here with a strong team, large team, and we're looking forward to having conversations, Osvaldo, Adokiye, and everybody else to see whether we can come up with new initiatives and strike deals and maybe announce a deal or two. So I don't have much to say, but thank you very much for listening, and we're looking forward to engage with you further. Thank you very much.
Well, big thanks to our speakers. On Thursday, Osvaldo mentioned Angola's independence. Osvaldo, you've got a Sonangol session on your national holiday, haven't you?
Yes, we do.
Does the president know that you are out working on a public holiday? Together with, I think, your Secretary of State, am I right, for Petroleum?
No, he couldn't.
He couldn't. Okay, so 9 o'clock on Thursday morning, isn't it? please come along. And are any of the other speakers speaking again? Is anybody else speaking again? So do join us on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock for the special session on Sonangol. And that is going to be, I think it's here. Yeah, it's here. It's here. It's here at this hotel. In the couple of minutes we have, does anybody have any questions? Now, if you get a quick, please, we've got a big room. One question. None of this, I worked for a long time as a journalist. Minister, my question's in two parts. No, it's not. Does anybody have a question here, please? Well, yes, sir. Do you want to take the mic around there? Tatendas Rikuru. We're both from Zimbabwe. Anybody here from Zimbabwe? Anybody here from Zim? It's just the two of us. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You were in Zim. Hey.
I'm John. My other names are very long. I'm from Uganda. We normally use long names. My question is to Tim. And Tim and Uganda are synonymous. So it's intentional. But for all the upstream companies, if you don't come to Uganda, you'll have made a big mistake. Tim, you know Uganda. You know the journey of tallow and the findings and the selling. Uganda is very close to starting the field development phase. We shall be, once we peak, we should be at 230,000 barrels per day. But the journey was really synonymous to tallow, and you know that tallow has left. So when we speak about Uganda, I don't know whether you see what I see, that actually Panoro should come to Uganda.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's give Tim the microphone.
You need to tell us something about that. Thank you.
Sorry, where's Shamari yangu urikupi? Utizere. Sorry, the lady with the microphone has. That's okay. I can multitask. Thank you so much. Tim, let's make sure that, it is working. All yours, sir.
Okay, that's a nice question and an invitation. Wow. Well, thank you. I was part of the journey with Tolo from the beginning, and Tolo was the finder of the oil back in 2006. And we are extremely proud, even though Tolo is not the same company these days. We're very, very, very proud of what we were able to do and added tens of billions of dollars to the economy of Uganda by just doing our day job. So a big privilege. Panoro is the same type of courageous little company. I have absolutely no reason to object to the idea. I will show up in Kampala. Are you the guy that signs the licenses by any chance? Because I am going to be in Uganda on Saturday this week. In fact, I go from here to there, but for a different project, which I can't talk much about. But let's touch base afterwards, and I will take you up on your offer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else like to ask something? Yes, ma'am. Let me come down there. This is kind of like, America's Got Talent, isn't it?
Oh, hello. My name is Christina Katsouris. I'm a journalist with Africa Energy Intelligence. With Energy Intelligence in London. I was interested in Immanuel's discussion on the strategy of Namcor to go to other countries in the region. I saw that you bid for Sonangol, but with Nigeria, how will you go and approach that? Because the Shell assets are in a very sort of turbulent area, and Namibia is not used to dealing with that kind of challenge. And I wondered if you'd be working with NNPC on this to buy the Shell assets, but part of them are already owned by NNPC anyway. So are you kind of taking that kind of joint venture with NNPC approach, joint venture NOCs? Is that the strategy, Immanuel?
Put another way, how much risk are you willing to take?
Yeah, thank you very much, Christine, for that question. Yeah, it's good to see you again. I mean, we've been here Cape Town for the past maybe 20 years or so. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, basically, yeah, we novices. I mean, we haven't even gotten anything in Angola or somewhere else, and we're already trying to, to get into Nigeria as well. But yeah, we've got a strategy that we have employed, but obviously it's important to also work with indigenous Nigerian companies. So we are not going there alone. Obviously, as Namcor, we are already in a partnership with 2 other companies. We're going to have, in fact, we decided to get a 4th partner who's Nigerian, who knows the landscape very well. So yeah, it is an ambitious target. I mean, it's not easy. We are currently going after the Shell's assets, but obviously we are going to have a discussion with NNPC to see whether there are any other opportunities. We believe there are. So yeah, so it's NNPC, Shell. Luckily, we do have financing behind us, so we're not worried. We've expressed to Shell, and I think also to NNPC, that we do have the money that is required to invest in the blocks, the producing blocks in Nigeria. But yes, it is a challenge. I think Shell is divesting from the areas that are sort of more problematic, but we believe, I think with our Nigerian partners, we can actually employ strategies that to make sure that obviously the local indigenous people come to the party and make sure that there is a partnership going on there. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's not going to be an easy road, but we've started the discussions, and we believe we're going to be successful. Thank you.
Yes, sir, especially since the topic is Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Adokiye. Like I said, I work for the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Your question is apt, but if we can operate that, then any other person can come along. All we're trying to do is also change our strategy. Now that we're being incorporated as a limited liability, is to change our strategy in relating with the communities and check what is going on within the environment. So you're fully welcome to come and partner with us. And some of our indigenous companies have also indicated interest to take the investment coming from the different IOCs that are divesting. They are not leaving because of security. They are leaving because their corporate company strategy had changed from fossil fuel into other areas. So I think we need to make this very clear. So we are aware of this, and we're taking cognizance of this particular one, but are preaching it. What happens in Europe and America may not be peculiar to what is going on in Africa. We've just said that we're in Black Africa. So why do we adapt our own strategies to suit others? It is not a fit for all purpose. We are saying that even if we're reducing our production in oil, we should look at other low-hanging fruits like gas production and see how we can transmit gas to power for our indigenes. Thank you so much.
We are out of time. We're a little bit over time, but we have caught up some time. And I wish that we could do another round. We've had a wonderful panel. We've had a really lovely audience. One of the things that has come through, I think, with all the speakers is the fragility of Africa and the difficulties of working here. But it's actually in resource companies that you see wealth coming to countries. And something that I've researched and written about myself quite a lot is that if you don't have wealth coming into poor areas, then you will have evil coming there. You will have terror groups. You will have criminal gangs. These are often a product of poverty. And very often you have got a single company, 2 or 3 companies, bringing money to the country and exploiting its resources. This is just so important for the overall development, but also the peace of Africa. Could I ask the panel to all stand and give a bow, because you have been superstars. Would you give them a great applause, please? Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The session is closed. I appreciate your attendance. Thank you.